What's up YouTube, Trashy here, and it's about time for another Stardew Valley tips and tricks video. Today, we are going to be tackling a super late game area, so y'all get the spoiler warning up front. Watch at your own discretion because I'm going to be talking about a lot of endgame stuff. Specifically, we are going to be talking about Key's Walnut Room, a late game area unlocked after finding 100 golden walnuts on Ginger Island. We're going to have a look at all 10 Key quests and how to complete them, as well as take a look at the items that you can buy from Key's special store. And as always, remember that there is no wrong way to play Stardew Valley. Everyone has their own pace and style, and so do you. Before we dive straight into it, I do want to address the elephant in the room. Now, there has long been a debate in the Stardew community over how to correctly pronounce Mr. Key. That's how I think it's pronounced, but a lot of other people think it might be Mr. Chi or Mr. QI or simply Mr. Q. But Concerned Ape recently confirmed in an interview that the correct pronunciation is, in fact, Mr. Qui. Now, I found this out after already recording this entire video, and I am unsure if I decided to not redo it because I don't agree, or because I really did not want to say QuiQuest a bunch of times. I guess we'll never know. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about this wild revelation, and we will continue on with the video. So what is the deal with Key's Walnut Room? Once you unlock access to this room, you can check your perfection score using this machine here, you can accept quests that reset every Monday over here, and you can spend the gems that you earn from those quests at this shop here. The perfection tracker is exactly what it says. It tracks every aspect of the game required to complete perfection, but that's not really what we're here for today. Let's have a look at the Key quest board first. This quest board is just like the one in town. It cycles through the different quests every single Monday, and it chooses 2 from a list of 10 possible quests, all of which can be repeated. Something important to keep in mind going forward is that the maximum time limit for each of these quests starts on Monday, the day that the quest is posted, and some quests can have a 28-day time limit if accepted on the first day of the season. You can spend the gems that you earn from completing these quests on some pretty amazing items in the shop, but before we get to that, let's have a look at each quest and the best way to go about completing them, starting with Danger in the Deep. The mine elevator system has been reset and new dangers have emerged from the deep underground. Make it to the bottom of the mines in 1 week. Essentially, this means that the normal mines are no longer normal for 1 week or until you complete the quest. They have been transformed and made much more dangerous, with stronger monsters, and what's worse, you have to unlock the elevator system all over again. However, this dangerous version of the mines also has different resources available and significantly better loot drops from monsters, and an endgame ore called radioactive ore that makes radioactive bars and is also used in a few different recipes. Once you complete this quest for the first time, you can toggle the dangerous version of the mines on and off on floor 120 whenever you want. Now, there are 2 different ways to go about this. If you've been doing Skull Cavern runs and you already have a little jade to staircase farm set up, you might have enough staircases to just straight up blast it all the way down to floor 120 and call it a day. In case you didn't know, you can duplicate jades and crystallariums and then trade them for staircases to the desert trader on Sundays. If you don't have any staircases, however, it will be a lot more difficult, but still doable. To make it easier for yourself, you can stock up on as much food, bombs, and luck buffs as you can, and make sure to take it slow. Keep some warp totems on you to get out of sticky situations, and you could even bring a tent kit with you so you can sleep outside of the mines and get back to it the next day. There is one enemy in particular that can make your life pretty hard during this run, putrid ghosts, which can be found from floors 51 to 69. Nice. These ghosts cause the nauseated debuff, which makes it impossible to eat or drink for a full 2 minutes. However, this debuff can be negated by eating ginger or drinking ginger ale. Trinkets from Combat Mastery can also be a massive help during this challenge, such as the fairy box for healing even when nauseated, or the ice rod to freeze enemies in their tracks. Once you've completed this quest, if you want to farm monster loot drops or radioactive ore, you can turn the Shrine of Challenge back on at any time and it will change overnight. However, you can take it one step further. Danger levels in the dangerous mines can actually stack. If the Shrine of Challenge is activated when you accept the Danger in the Deep quest, the mines essentially go to danger level 2 instead of 1. This means that you'll have increased chances of finding radioactive ore, which is possibly the best part about the dangerous mines, as well as increased chances of monsters dropping prismatic shards and diamonds. However, it's not all sunshine and roses. The chances of monsters spawning also increases, as well as their health, damage, and resilience. So be wary if this is a challenge that you feel like taking on. I mean it, this one is even a little too spicy for me. Next up on the quest board, we have Extended Family. Family members of the legendary fish have returned to the valley. You have 3 days to catch Ms. Angler, Glacierfish Jr., Son of Crimson Fish, Radioactive Carp, and Legend 2. This quest is pretty straightforward, although it can be a massive pain if fishing really isn't your thing in Stardew. You have a total of 3 days to catch all 5 alternative versions of the usual legendary fish, and they each spawn in the same locations as the original fish. Just to refresh your memory, let's go over them. Miss Angler spawns near the waterfall in town. Glacierfish Jr. spawns in the area in Cindersap Forest right here. Son of Crimson Fish spawns at the bottom of the far right dock on the beach. Radioactive Carp spawns in the sewers. And the Legend 2 spawns in this area in the mountains. It's also worth keeping in mind that these legendary fish do not have the same outline as the regular legendaries when you go to catch them, so they can be harder to spot. Just keep an eye out for any fish that flails about wildly and makes you want to rage quit. The best way to go about this quest is to get yourself some food that gives fishing buffs such as lobster bisque and bobbers that make catching fish easier, such as the trap bobber, which makes fish escape slower, or the cork bobber, which increases the size of the fishing bar. If you have fishing mastery, you should also have access to the advanced iridium rod, which has 2 bobber slots. Both trap and cork bobber effects can stack if you use 2 of them. Lobster bisque is pretty easy to make, it's just 1 lobster and 1 milk. Remember that you can make targeted bait using the bait maker, and that includes bait crab for crab pots, so make the most of that when lobster farming. You'll only have 3 days to finish this quest starting from the moment that you accept it, so if you want to get it done, you will need to pretty much drop whatever you're doing and go for it. In fact, this quest can actually be used massively to your advantage. You can catch multiple of each type of legendary fish while the quest is active, so you can make some insanely good money doing this. If you want to see how you can make literal millions of gold by basically abusing this quest, you can check out this video on the screen right now or in the description below, where I made, like I said, literal millions from legendary fish roe. Next up, we have 4 precious stones. Find 4 prismatic shards. Place them in my collection box. Now, this might sound like quite the challenge, but it's really not that hard at all, especially considering that the maximum time frame for completing this quest is a full 28 days. The best way to get a lot of prismatic shards is by mining iridium ore deep in the Skull Cavern. If you go on a good luck day with some luck buffs and a decent stack of staircases, you could even find all 4 in one day. And if you don't believe me, you can check out my Skull Cavern guide. Aside from over 1,000 iridium ore, I also found 18 prismatic shards in just one run, so I know that this is more than doable if you approach it the right way. Now, the next quest might be one of the hardest in the entire game, and it is called Let's Play a Game. Think you can score 50,000 points in Junimo Kart Endless Mode? Prove it. Now, you wouldn't be wrong for completely ignoring this quest altogether. However, once you've done it once, it becomes increasingly easy and a great way for quick gems. And I can hear your eyes rolling from here, but I am here to help, and I actually happen to be pretty decent at Junimo Kart, so here are some of my best tips and tricks. First of all, if the last time you tried Junimo Kart was before the 1.6 update, I have some good news for you. There have been a few adjustments made to the Junimo Kart minigame. Grace jump periods were added, meaning that if you run off the end of the track, you still have a small amount of time to jump and recover. Fun fact, this is also known as Coyote Time or Coyote Jumps, and it's named after Looney Tunes' Wile E. Coyote and the way he would always hover in the air for a second or two before falling off a cliff. The whale level has also had the amount of bubbles produced by the whale reduced significantly, which makes it much easier to complete, and the noxious gas-emitting mushrooms that appear on the mushroom level have been adjusted so that they can no longer spawn in pairs and ruin your day. Additionally, a bug was fixed that used to cause you to lose your points if Junimo Kart closed down on its own in endless mode, something that could occur while playing in multiplayer because time doesn't stop. Now, if you want to get good at Junimo Kart Endless Mode, which gives you no extra lives and makes you restart the entire game every time you fail, I highly recommend starting with Progress Mode. The levels are longer in Progress Mode, but you start with 3 lives and earn 1 extra life for every 100 coins that you pick up, and another for every 3 fruit that you successfully find in each level. Levels also have checkpoints marked by these little lanterns, and you'll get all 3 initial lives back when you complete a level. Now, this mode is still not going to be easy by any means when you start, but it is going to make learning much easier. By practicing in Progress Mode, when you inevitably fail your first few dozen jumps, at least you won't be forced to restart the entire game. And when you nail your first few jumps, you'll be able to actually see and feel your progress. Plus, it makes it a lot easier to reach particularly tricky levels like the whale level and having a few tries to practice without being sent back to the very start of the game. Not to get too philosophical here, but failing constantly can be a massive deterrent when it comes to learning something new. Nobody likes to feel like they're not good at something that they're trying to learn, so throwing yourself against endless mode again and again, failing over and over, might not be the best approach to getting better. If this is something that you struggle with, try progress mode, and when you feel like you can consistently get to the whale level, give endless mode a go. And for my last tip, you do not need to beat this game to complete the quest. You just need to accumulate 50,000 points or more. You get 5,000 points for completing a level and another 5,000 if you've managed to grab all 3 fruit in that level. But aside from that, you get an additional 1,000 points when you pick up a fruit, as well as 40 points per coin that you pick up. And of course, you get points as you advance, specifically 10 points per tile that you move. Keeping all of that in mind, you can achieve 50,000 points by the 4th level and never have to go near the dreaded mushroom or lava levels in your entire playthrough. Unless you want your very own Junimo Kart machine at home, in which case you are going to have to complete the game in progress mode. If that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments and I will see what I can do about putting together a complete Junimo Kart guide for y'all. Also, while we're on the subject, Concerned Ape, I love your game and everything you've done with it. You have put so much happiness in the world and I am grateful to you for that. However, the choice to give Journey of the Prairie King not 1 but 2 achievements and none to Junimo Kart was questionable. Sincerely, someone that sucks at Journey of the Prairie King but is average at Junimo Kart. Moving on, the next quest that we are going to talk about is Keys Crop. I've hidden key beans throughout the world. Find them, grow them, propagate them, and ship 500 key fruit within the time limit. Now the time limit here is 28 days at the start of the month, keep that in mind. This one is definitely a time consumer, and if you have already covered your Ginger Island farm in ancient fruit or any other type of crop, it might just be downright annoying. But the 100 key gem reward more than makes up for it. Hey y'all, this is Future Trashy, the one that's editing the video, not the one that was just speaking to you. Sorry to interrupt like this, but I do feel like we should all acknowledge the fact that the correct pronunciation of key fruit here would actually be qui fruit. I will let you get back to the video now with that new knowledge. So let's get into how to do this quest. Key beans take 4 days to grow into key fruit without fertilizer and will grow in any season, including the mainland farm during winter. They're not particularly hard to grow, it's just that growing 500 of them within 28 days can be very, very time consuming, especially considering that you just can't buy them. To find these beans, you gotta go mining, shake trees, chop them down, cut weeds, slay monsters, check garbage cans, etc. Basically just going about your daily routine while the quest is active. And some methods are quicker than others. Chopping down trees, for example, has a solid 25% chance of producing a key bean, whereas breaking open rocks only has a 2% chance. Treasure chests found while fishing when this quest is active have a decent chance to contain stacks of up to 4 key beans, so fishing with magnet bait and treasure hunter tackles is a really good way to stock up on beans quickly. If you've achieved foraging mastery and can make treasure totems, these can be a surefire way to get your hands on a bunch of key beans pretty quickly. To make them, you need 5 hardwood, 10 moss, and 1 mystic syrup, and when used, they will spawn a total of 16 artifact spots around you as long as there's space for them. These artifact spots have about a 25% chance of spawning stacks of 2 to 5 key beans, and if they do, the chance that more will appear increases. This works in any hoeable location in Stardew Valley and Ginger Island, although I would recommend going to Ginger Island as you can also get a large amount of Omni Geodes from artifact spots here, and they're useful for many reasons, aside from also having a high chance of containing even more key beans. You're probably thinking that even with those numbers, getting all 500 beans and growing them is a bit much to do in just 28 days. But you don't need to find all 500 beans, and you can use fertilizer and certain professions to increase their growing speed. Deluxe Speed Grow can be used to speed up growth from 4 to 3 days, and if combined with the Agriculturalist profession, they'll grow in just 2 days. Hyper Speed Grow can also be used to increase growth to just 2 days, although it does require radioactive ore to craft, which can be a bit of a pain to get. When combined with the Seed Maker, you can spend a day or 2 using the methods that we mentioned above getting your seeds, another 2 or 3 days to grow them, and then put your harvest into seed makers for a big seed profit. Do this until you feel like you can comfortably ship 500 beans within your remaining time. The biggest issue that you will have here will probably be space if you've already taken over your farm in Ginger Island with your own crops, so just rinse and repeat with the space that you have left. Also, if you already have Deluxe or Hyper Speed Grow down in your greenhouse and you don't mind getting rid of crops that you have in there, you can reuse the space to save time and resources as the Speed Grow won't despawn if left overnight. Next, let's talk about Keys Cuisine. Ship 100,000 gold worth of freshly cooked items. Definitely keep in mind the wording of this quest. You have to ship the food, it won't count if you sell them to Pierre, and the quest will only complete the day after you ship them. Now, as usual, only items cooked while the quest is active actually count towards this quest, And you will notice that items cooked during the quest have the word fresh in their names, which is a cute touch. If you like to hoard and have a bunch of ingredients saved, you might be able to clean out your pantry and ship 100,000 gold worth of food, but there are two easy-ish methods of completing this quest. If you have the space and the patience, you can grow 1,667 wheat and turn it into wheat flour at a mill and then cook it into bread, shipping it for a profit. But you can also just buy 1,667 wheat flour for 166,000 gold at Pierre's for the exact same outcome at a 70,000 gold loss. However, it is a lot less time consuming, and if you have the extra gold and the gems are worth it to you, I'd say go for it. Next, we are going to talk about two quests that are pretty similar. First up is Key's Hungry Challenge. Your task is to make it to level 100 in the Skull Cavern. However, you can't eat or drink anything while there. This is another one of those challenges where having a nice stack of staircases can really come in handy. But if you don't have a casual 100 staircases hanging around, or you simply want to experience a true challenge, here are a few tips. Now, you can't eat while inside the cavern, but that doesn't mean that you can't eat before you go in and make the most of your food buffs. For example, magic rock candy or ginger ale or any other good luck food can increase your chance of finding staircases and shafts. You can also take advantage of health regeneration from rings such as the vampire ring, as well as the vampiric trait forged into your sword, both of which can give back a small amount of health upon slaying a monster. Other rings that can come in handy are the crab shell ring for a +5 to your defense, the slime charmer ring to keep slimes off your back, the iridium band for increased attack damage, or the phoenix ring that brings you back to life once a day after hitting 0 hit points. You can combine these and any other rings at the forge to make yourself the perfect loadout. Another useful item here is the fairy box trinket, which can restore small amounts of health during combat situations. One last unique but helpful aspect to this challenge is that you can find these big slimes that have hearts inside them, and when you slay them, you will get healed a small amount. Now, similar to this challenge, the next quest is the Skull Cavern Invasion. The Skull Cavern has been invaded by powerful monsters. Make it to level 100 in one piece. Similar to the previous quest, you have to get to level 100 in the Skull Cavern. Unlike the previous quest, you can eat while you're there, but it's not that easy. Just like Danger in the Deep, this quest activates the dangerous version of Skull Cavern, which has its own set of stronger enemies as well as radioactive ore, and once completed, you can toggle this version of the Skull Cavern on and off using this shrine here at the entrance. All of the enemies are more powerful, and the snakes turn into long boys that have more health the longer they are. In fact, the longest ones can have up to 1,050 health points. Again, if you can get your hands on a decent stack of staircases, I highly recommend bringing them with you. If not, the previous tips from Key's Hungry Challenge will come in handy. Just make sure to bring a lot of food. Next up, we have Key's Kindness. Gift 50 loved gifts in just 1 week. This one kind of speaks for itself. You have to give 50 loved gifts in just 1 week. However, this one can be pretty tricky if you don't have a decent hoard of loved items stored away. Just in case you do, here are a few suggestions if you happen to have them on hand. You can give 2 gifts to each NPC every week on different days. Now, it's important to note that although the weeks in-game go from Monday to Sunday, gift giving resets every single Sunday. So if you get this quest on a Monday, you'll be able to give the same villager 2 gifts during the week, and then on Sunday, you can give them an additional 3rd gift while still within the quest's time restraints. This means that if you wanted to, you could pick out 16 villagers that you know you have 3 loved gifts for each, which would bring you to 49 loved gifts, and then you just have 1 more loved gift to sort out. There are a few universally loved items in the game, with the exception of a villager here and there, and the easiest one to stack up on is, believe it or not, rabbit's feet. If you have a deluxe coop and a bunch of rabbits, you might just have been saving them for a special occasion. Just keep in mind that the only villager that does not like rabbit's feet is Penny. If you have a Crystallarium gem duping system set up, you might also have built up a decent amount of diamonds. A total of 8 villagers love diamonds, including Penny, so that's a good way to get around the rabbit's feet. There are also a few pretty easy to get items that are loved by various villagers, such as cactus fruit, which you can find in the desert and is loved by Linus, Pam, and Sam, iridium bars, which are loved by Clint, Krobus, Maru, and Willie, and pumpkins, which are loved by Abigail, Krobus, and Willie. You can also buy some loved items from the Stardrop Saloon. For example, Harvey loves coffee, Shane and Sam love pizza, Leah loves salad, Robin loves spaghetti, and Pam loves beer. Plus, Clint and Emily love pretty much any mineral, and Clint also loves Omnigeodes. That's a total of 13 different villagers that you can pretty easily scrounge up 2 or 3 loved gifts for within the week, making the rest of the process much easier. Next up, we have Key's Prismatic Grange. Find 100 each of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple items. Place them in my collection box. Things to keep in mind here are that not all of the items have to be the same for each color. You can place 50 of one object and 50 of another for the full 100, and unlike other quests, you don't need to collect all of these items while it's active. In fact, you can place a chest outside of Key's Walnut room and start filling it with items to complete this quest quicker when it pops up. Some items have a weird classification for what color they are, and some items that seem like they should count don't actually count at all. For example, bait is classified as red for dyeing purposes, but still doesn't count for this challenge. You might already have some of the colors stocked away, as they're pretty common to end up with stacks of, such as 100 explosive ammo for red, 100 copper ore for orange, 100 sap for yellow, and 100 fiber for green, but that still leaves blue and purple. If you've chosen to go with Joja Mart over the community center, you can buy 100 Joja Colas from Joja Mart for a total of 7,500 gold. However, if you went with the community center, instead you can still buy 100 Joja Colas, but from the vending machine in the Star Drop Saloon for the same price, one at a time. A quick tip for those of you who chose the community center and play on PC: any time that you see a pop-up with a yes or no answer, such as the vending machine or eating food, you can just tap Y for yes or N for no on your keyboard to accept or decline. Spamming Y while interacting with the vending machine makes this process much quicker. For the purple item, you might already have a decent stack of Void Essence, but if you don't have enough, you can buy 10 of them a day from Krobus in the sewers, so it would take you a total of 10 days to buy all 100 for a total cost of 10,000 gold. If you don't happen to have enough red, orange, yellow, or green items, there are also some things you can buy around the valley. You can buy spaghetti from the Star Drop Saloon for red, and it will cost 24,000 for all 100. You can get copper ore from Clint's for orange for 15,000 for all 100. You can buy hay from Marnie's Ranch for yellow for 5,000. And salad from the Star Drop Saloon for 22,000 for all 100. And that is it for the quests, but what exactly is the point of doing them? Well, you get rewarded with key gems for every single quest that you complete, which you can spend in Key's shop on the right side of the room. Like I said at the start of the video, this shop has some of the best items in the entire game, and it is the only place that you can get most of them, so let's have a look at what they do. First, here are a few of the less useful but still functional items that you can get your hands on. You can get an aquatic sanctuary which holds more fish for 20 gems. You can get an exotic double bed for 50 gems. You can buy yourself Mr. Key's hat if you fancy for just 5 gems. You can buy mushroom tree seeds for 5 gems. This used to be the only way to get these trees on your farm, but since the addition of green rain in 1.6, you can actually end up with a couple of these trees on your farm naturally. And lastly, you can get fireworks in red, purple, and green for just 1 gem each. Now let's have a look at the true stars of the show, starting with Junimo chests. Junimo chests cost 30 gems the first time that you buy them, as you have to buy a pair, but afterwards you can buy 1 chest at a time for just 15 gems. These chests only have a few slots, but they link together no matter where you place them. For example, you could keep 1 at your house, 1 outside the Skull Cavern, 1 outside the mines, and 1 outside the volcano, and keep it stocked with all of your combat items, food, staircases, etc. The horse flute costs 50 gems and does exactly what you'd expect. It calls your horse to you no matter where you are, as long as you're outside. This means that you can call it to you all the way out here on Ginger Island as well. Pierre's missing stock list costs 50 gems, and giving it to Pierre allows him to sell every single seasonal seed that he usually has in stock every single season. Keep in mind that out of season seeds will cost 50% more than usual. The hopper costs 10 gems to buy, with the recipe costing 50 gems, and it works as follows. Items placed in the hopper will automatically be loaded into the machine in front of it as long as the items are compatible. Now, on my first few playthroughs, I generally ignored the hopper because I really didn't see a point in being able to automatically load things like kegs and furnaces if I still had to stop and then unload them manually for the hopper to keep hopping. However, while they might be a tad expensive, they're actually pretty useful. For example, if you have a lot of ore to smelt and you have your furnaces set up with hoppers loaded with all of your ore and coal, you can come by and pick up your bars without having to fill your inventory up with all of your ores. This is useful for loot goblins like me that always make it back home late at night with a full backpack. If you're more of a rancher than a miner, you can also have some hoppers set up near your cheese and mayo machines to help deal with extra eggs and cheese. I know I always end up with dozens of extra things piling up before I get around to processing them. The enricher costs 20 gems for 4, and to use this you place it on any sprinkler and then load it with fertilizer to automatically apply it when you plant nearby seeds. This can save you a bunch of time in prep when starting a new season or switching crops. You don't have to run around again after planting to apply fertilizer and then accidentally miss a spot, but just keep in mind that these enrichers will only fertilize spots that your sprinkler can reach. You can buy 4 pressure nozzles for 20 gems, and they can be placed on a sprinkler to increase its watering range at another tile. This means that you can upgrade any leftover normal or quality sprinklers that you have, or increase the range of your iridium sprinklers to water a staggering 49 tiles at once. The Deconstructor costs 20 gems and is arguably one of the best late game items ever. By placing a crafted object inside the Deconstructor, you can get the most valuable material back from the item. So if you were to place a Mega Bomb, for example, which is made up of 1 Solar Essence, 1 Void Essence, and 4 Gold Ore, you would get back your 4 Gold Ore. This can be super useful if you've accidentally made too many fences or too much flooring. Just throw them all into the Deconstructor, maybe with the help of a hopper, because it only works one item at a time, and you can get your wood or stone back eventually. What's more, you can actually indirectly buy resources thanks to the Deconstructor. The grass starters bought at piers, for example, can be deconstructed into fiber. You can deconstruct staircases traded for jades at the trader for easy stone. And if you deconstruct a hopper itself, you will get a whole radioactive bar out of it for just 10 gems. You can also deconstruct the tackles sold at Willie's shop. The cork bobber produces 5 hardwood, the trap bobber gives you 1 copper bar, the spinner produces 2 iron bars, and the treasure hunter will give you 2 gold bars. Another very particular and niche use for the Deconstructor is that if you've made it this far without finding an ancient seed to donate to the museum, you can put an ancient seed package into the Deconstructor and you will get the museum artifact in return. If you're wondering how you could get a plantable seed without first finding the artifact, seed makers actually have a very small chance to produce an ancient seed when loaded with any other seed. The key to the town can be bought for 20 gems and grants you access to almost every house and shop in Stardew Valley at any time of day. This can be used to bypass Willie's opening hours and to get to Ginger Island much earlier, and aside from allowing you quicker and easier access to NPCs for gifting purposes, you can also get into Pierre's shop much earlier. It turns out that this absolute dork is just standing here way before opening times, and he's always kind of stood there after it closes too. Nerd. For a hefty 40 gems, you can buy yourself a Galaxy Soul. With 3 of these souls, you can forge your Galaxy weapon of choice into its Infinity version: the Infinity Blade, the Infinity Dagger, and the Infinity Gavel. Infinity versions of Galaxy weapons are incredibly powerful, but these souls can be pretty expensive to buy. Good news though, you also have a small chance to find Galaxy Souls as dangerous monster drops after slaying 50 dangerous monsters, which are the ones that you can find in the dangerous versions of the mines and the Skull Cavern. Also, on the last day of each season, as long as you've slain 50 dangerous monsters, you can buy a Galaxy Soul from the island trader for 10 radioactive bars. You can buy magic bait for 5 gems or the recipe for 20 gems, and this stuff is super useful, especially if you're going for perfection and are missing a few season-specific fish. When fishing with magic bait, you can catch any type of fish native to the area that you're fishing in, regardless of the season and weather. You can even catch night market fish if you fish in this area here at the beach, where the night market submarine usually docks. You can also use this bait to catch legendary fish outside of their respective seasons. You can buy 10 key seasoning for 10 gems, and it's used when cooking to create gold quality dishes. Gold quality dishes sell for 50% more than normal dishes, give 80% more health and energy, and they also get a +1 to any buffs provided aside from speed, while increasing buff duration by 50% too. If you have key seasoning in your inventory, fridge, or mini fridge in your house when you cook, it will automatically use it up, so keep it set aside if you're saving it for a particular dish such as ginger ale, lucky lunch, or pumpkin soup to give yourself an extra luck buff. You can buy a heavy tapper for 20 gems, and they work the exact same way as normal tappers, but twice as fast. Something to keep in mind about the heavy tapper is that as of recording this video in the Stardew 1.6.15 release, trees with heavy tappers on them can still turn into green rain trees. This isn't intended, as trees with normal tappers aren't affected by green rain, but it is something that you should keep in mind when planning your farm. You can also buy the recipes for Hyper Speed Grow and Deluxe Fertilizer for 30 and 20 gems respectively. Hyper Speed Grow increases the growth speed of crops by 33% for a total of 43% if you've chosen the agriculturist profession, and Deluxe Fertilizer increases the quality of your crops and is the only way to obtain iridium crops. The recipe for blue grass starters is available for 40 gems, allowing you to craft and grow blue grass on your farm. This is the only other way to get bluegrass on your farm aside from choosing the Meadowlands farm at the start of your playthrough. You can also buy a mini shipping bin for 60 gems, which is a pretty hefty price considering that you can get one for completing a couple of different special orders in town, but these little things actually come pretty handy. They may have a limited amount of spots, but you can place them around the valley wherever you want for an easy and quick way to ship stuff to sell while out and about. Once you've collected all 130 walnuts, you'll have some left over after unlocking everything on the island, and you can use them to buy 2 gems per golden walnut. And last, but very not least, that's not how you say that, but it doesn't matter, if you've achieved perfection, you can buy a golden egg for 100 key gems. Golden eggs can be incubated for golden chickens, which produce, of course, more golden eggs, which sell for a decent price and make 3 mayonnaise when processed. You can also get this egg from Marnie's Ranch for 100,000 gold, from treasure chests when fishing, and from a random event where a golden witch flies over your coop and leaves a golden egg inside. There you have it. Some items cost quite a bit more than others, and some quests give a lot more gems than others, so if you want to buy everything the store has to offer, you will want to pick your quests wisely. If you're rolling in money at this stage of the game, it's often worth picking the quests that you can just buy your way through, such as Key's Prismatic Grange or Key's Cuisine. But if you've been focusing on Skull Cavern runs and have a nice stockpile of ladders, the Skull Cavern and mine related quests are going to be a lot easier for you. And that's about it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it and found it at least a little bit helpful and or entertaining. If you did, let me know in the comments below. I love hearing what you guys have to think. Also, we hit 7,000 subscribers recently, and I just wanted to thank you all so much. 7,000 people is a wild amount of people, and the support has been beyond anything that I imagined when I started to make these videos last year. And thanks to all of you, I get to keep doing this, which is quite literally a dream come true. So thank you so much for being such an important part of that. If you do want to catch up with me and hang out, you can actually find me live over on Twitch 3 times a week on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for existing. Bye!